Good morning. So I was talking yesterday about our emotions getting trapped in our body and how different diseases can form and pain in the body. And I asked a few of you to give me some areas that you have concerns with or health issues with, and I would look them up in the book for you, and I'll give them a readout. So the book I'm reading is from The Metaphysical Anatomy by Yvette Rose. She has a YouTube channel which talks about a lot of diseases as well, which is really worth looking at. So I've just saved some of the pages with some of your questions that you wanted to know, and I'll read them out. So I looked up one for myself because of like my voice. My voice has been disappearing for quite a few years now, and a lot of it is like me not feeling like I'm being heard. And that has happened my whole life in my own family situation where people always talk over the top of me. I'll go to say something and then someone's not really listening to me, or they just butt in and talk over the top of me. And rather than me saying, look, I'm talking, you will listen to me, I used to just go quiet. I used to think, oh, no one's interested, and I'd walk away. And that repeated cycle of not speaking up and not being heard has trapped some energy in my throat area, which is now causing me to feel like I don't have a voice. So something I'm working on for myself. So I'll just go in the order that they are in the book. So I've got allergies. This is for allergies, sinuses, skin problems, and this also relates with me because these are the things that I've been going through. A lot of it is to do with being around people that have very dominant personalities. So can be people that rather than asking you, they tell you. So even it might be a friend who, rather than saying, would you enjoy going on a holiday with me, or would you enjoy going on a shopping trip with me? Their dominant nature is more somebody who will say, oh, you're coming with me. You're coming with me whether you like it or not. And they will keep at you and at you and at you. And they'll even book a ticket for you and say, oh, I've bought you a ticket to come to this thing, even if you didn't want to go. Their dominant personality, they just go ahead and do it. And you feel like you don't have a say. You haven't given your permission, and you've been forced into doing something. And this is a cause of a lot of allergies, sinus issues, rashes on the skin. It's from not having boundaries. So I'm going to read out what it says in the book. Okay. You are experiencing hostile feelings towards an invasive, offensive partner, family, or environment. You may be suppressing deep grief due to a controlling and dominating childhood, which left you feeling very insecure and unsure of your position within the family. Due to poor personal boundaries, you feel very offended by people who have invasive personalities, which is what I was just saying. Often your relationship with your parents or caretakers was hostile. One parent is often too caught up in keeping the other partner happy by whatever means were necessary to avoid the angry outbursts and arguments. This parent unintentionally, emotionally neglected your needs. You were often made to feel ashamed or rejected as a child whenever you asked for something, as your timing never seemed to be quite right. As a result of the emotional environment in which you were raised, you're never quite sure when to stress and when to relax. You may have felt challenged when faced with circumstances that require you to use your own discernment. Being always on guard and on the lookout for danger and unpredictable moods during childhood has taken a toll. Your body is exhausted from being stuck in fight mode. This heightened state requires a lot of energy. I'm not going to read through the whole thing because I've got so many I want to get through, but basically it's creating your boundaries to help you with your allergies and sinuses, is to create your boundaries, and don't be afraid to say no to people. Don't be afraid if you're going to offend somebody by saying, no, I'm not coming with you. It's not that I don't enjoy your company. I'm not into that and I don't want to do that. So please don't force that upon me. It's putting it back onto them to make them see that they may be forcing things and being too dominant with you. And by acting in this way, you can help to clear up your own health issues. So that was for allergies and sinuses. The next one I've got is somebody asking me about their bladder. They have some bladder issues. So this one is for bladder problems. People store a great deal of their daily emotional irritations in their bladder and in the urinary tract. When a person is overwhelmed with a lot of stress, irritation, or feeling pissed off, it can physically surface in these areas. Bladder problems often start when a person is trying really hard to resist being controlled by an authority figure. This could be a boss, a mother, father, or sibling. You feel a great deal of anger towards someone that is challenging you. Because you feel unsafe expressing yourself towards this person, you often revert to aggression in order to emotionally protect yourself. Your fear of being ridiculed, punished, or attacked makes you project aggression. The aggression forms a buffer between you and an abuser or influential person that is challenging your self-worth or territory. You may have had a conflicting relationship with an authority figure, often a father figure if you are a female. An influential figure in your life may never have given you a chance to fully express yourself, leaving you feeling powerless. You feel extremely irritated by someone who invalidated your opinions. This is often a childhood pattern that is now repeating itself in adult life. You often find it challenging to control your own personal desires. And that again goes on, there's a lot more detail there. So that's a little bit for the bladder. Now, this one here is for foot and ankle problems. People use this part of the body to physically, emotionally move forward. If there are issues with the feet, then it's clear indication that the person often fears consequences related to change. This is related to moving forward, reaching success, commitment, or a fear of losing control. You may have had a shortage of guidance and support in the past when going through different stages. You fear losing control of your destiny and the outcome of any new changes you manifest. You have had negative experiences in the past when you tried to change the direction of a journey. You may have been punished or abused by controlling influential people when you made changes. Your ability to make decisions may have been suppressed as influential people were too busy dictating to you. This may have caused you to doubt your ability to be successful and make changes easily. You may have a fear of standing your ground. Your values and integrity have been greatly challenged by influential people that took the joy right out of your life. Now you want to move forward, however, it is hard for you to accept and live the good life that you deserve. So that one was for feet and ankles. Next one is for knee problems. You have found yourself stuck in an uncomfortable situation. You don't have an actionable plan to move forward on a project or in your personal life. Your perception of the future is mixed up with your own inner fear and dread of being ridiculed, judged, or rejected. You fear being judged by family members if you follow your dreams. You feel disempowered by life due to past failure that left you feeling judged, humiliated, and attacked. You are entering a new stage, phase, transition. This could be related to a pregnancy that you feel obligated to follow through on, often related to your mother or grandmother. You have a fear of success. You may want to change your life's direction but feel held back by your family's demands and expectations. You have a fear of disappointing your parents or guardians if you make certain changes. You also don't want to leave your comfort zone. Changes were experienced as traumatic in the past. You know a change is coming and you almost feel paralyzed by fear of the unknown. I found that really interesting, that one, because of someone I know who's in a situation where they kind of want to branch out into their own life and be successful, but they also don't want to let down people that they're supporting in their family, and they have a lot of knee problems. So it makes a lot of sense, that one. This one is for multiple sclerosis. And here we go. MS, first of all, it's describing what multiple sclerosis is. MS is caused by an autoimmune attack on the nervous system, causing demyelination of loss of the myelin, the protective sheath around the nerves. Imagine a copper wire losing its plastic sheath. The same issue, which is a loss of signal, arises inside the body. You may have experienced trauma that made you feel helpless and unprotected. You overcompensate for feeling helplessness and unprotected during childhood by using anger to protect and defend yourself. There are cases where a client feels too scared and powerless to even express anger, so they chose to become submissive. My own mother suffered with multiple sclerosis, and she was somebody that would never express how she was really feeling. It was really, really hard to get her to open up emotionally about her fears. She suppressed absolutely everything until it came to a point of she disconnected from her emotions, so she didn't have to show any emotions. It was kind of like if she had to laugh, she would laugh because that was the appropriate thing to do, but she lost that ability to actually feel the emotion. So that made a lot of sense. With people with MS, you tried to express yourself during a time of stress and were not respected and listened to by influential people. You disassociated from your emotions as your environment was too stressful and upsetting to process and digest. It is likely that you suffered consistent trauma, and in most cases, you are still in contact with the abusers or with the stressful environment. You suppressed your truth and your boundaries, leaving you unable to discern when situations are becoming unhealthy or even abusive. The longer you stay in an abusive environment, the more acceptable it becomes. Your circumstances become normalized and you feel comfortable being uncomfortable. Your emotional needs may have been met by abuse, aggression, and lack of love. Being in the background, being small, helpless, giving in to influential people's demands keep you safe and out of harm's way. You have stopped trying to be in control and have handed the control over to others. That really resonated with what my mother she fought when she first was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis. She fought so hard to try to find a cure and find a way to make herself better and couldn't. There was nothing happening, and in the end she gave up, and she kind of like gave all her power away to my dad and let him control. He did all the controlling. He just basically took over and she allowed him to. So yeah, that definitely resonated with multiple sclerosis. With any of these things, with where you realize where you've trapped the emotion and where it's originally come from, then you can start to heal it, because you go back to that point of what was I feeling at the time and what was I not dealing with at the time. You can deal with it now. Like, you can learn to deal with it now and then say, I'm going to face that emotion and I'm going to work with it now to help clear the disease that's in the body. This one was for neck. Someone asked about shoulder pain, but I already addressed that in the previous video, so I'll do the neck pain. You seem to feel rigid and need to control the outcome of everything you do. You feel that if you do not have the ability to control the environment, everything will go wrong. This will only make you feel obligated to fix everything again. This stems from a childhood where there was a great deal of pressure on you to understand concepts and situations that should not have been introduced until a later stage in your life. So this is somebody putting too much pressure on you as a child before you were ready to handle it. You may have had too much responsibility put onto you as a child, and I have had neck problems, and then I realised, like, because my mum was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis when I was only 10 years of age, I then had to start cooking for the family and taking on the role of the mother at the age of 10. So I was not ready for that, but it was forced upon me in the situation, which is where we hold the tension in our neck from having to do things when we're not ready for them, when we're too young and we're too immature to take on those roles. So definitely makes a lot of sense. You may have observed your parents losing control of their own life and circumstances, which is me watching my mum losing control with her disease. You felt helpless and disempowered by the surrounding drama and conflict. When you feel out of control, you become rigid and afraid of failure or that a worst case scenario might take place. You took on too much responsibility with the intention of helping while at the same time being recognised and appreciated. Your deep need for love and acceptance is not met, and your efforts, time, and energy are used and abused by people. You feel as if your desired goals and outcomes are in the hands of influential people. When you try to reclaim your power, you soon find yourself playing into another's agenda, which makes you become rigid, inflexible, and feeling controlled again. It's like a vicious cycle, isn't it? You are not comfortable expressing your dislike of a situation or person. You feel obligated to move forward in a direction that does not resonate with you. You feel unable to get away from unhealthy circumstances and end up staying in it, only creating further anger and resentment. You seem to feel obligated to see things through even when they bring you no joy. So you are often very analytical and avoid feelings of the heart. The less you know about the matters of the heart, the safer you feel. You have learned to see the world through the head mind. You are caught up in the drama of others without a clear discernment about what is your responsibility and what isn't. You feel dominated by someone else's controlling nature. So, yeah, that's all trapped in the area of the neck, causing neck pain. This one is for the pancreas and gallbladder. Someone, the same thing. Someone had pancreatic problems, and someone else had gallbladder problems, and they come under the same emotional entrapment. You often feel conquered or defeated. Hard efforts were not praised or appreciated. This made you feel rejected and triggered an old rejection trauma from childhood. This pattern that began in your childhood is still being repeated in your adult life. Your need for love may never have been met in a fulfilling way, so you are always searching for more love. You too seem, that doesn't make sense. You too seem to feel a great, you seem to, I think the word's around the wrong way. You seem to feel a great emptiness, almost like a void that has no end. You also seem to feel robbed of your power and ability to stand strong against launched attacks, whether it's verbal or physical. Influential people may have regularly rejected you, causing you to reject yourself. If you ever feel like you're in a conflict, in an argument, and someone is attacking you, rather than you feeling like you can stand your ground, you may be taking it on inside and not having that power to sort of answer back, and that's where you're trapping the emotions in the gallbladder and the pancreas area. So this may be also you needing to create your boundaries, know your worth, know what you don't, what you deserve and what your respect is, and standing up for yourself, not letting other people control you. You often feel there is something wrong with you and you are not good enough. You feel bulldozed over by life and influential people who never took your needs or feelings into consideration. You often have self-sabotaging patterns that are destructive and debilitating to your own health, personal success, and growth. Your needs were met in a way that left you feeling confused and unsure of what you needed from an influential person in the first place. You may not have felt safe enough to express and ask for your needs to be met. So that's for the pancreas and gallbladder problems. We're getting there. This covers a lot of areas. This is for the back. A lot of people were saying they had back pain. This covers the back, the hips, the spinal cord, any kind of muscular pain or scoliosis. And someone said they were diagnosed with PMR, which also comes into this category of where the muscles are weak and not performing as they should be. So anyone with back pain, hip pain, spinal cord problems, muscle pain, scoliosis, PMR, this one is for you. You have been suppressed by dominant, controlling, influential people who used guilt, threats, or shame in order to control your behaviour. Your need for approval was met by comments such as, "You can do better than that," or "That is acceptable but not good enough." You seem to feel that your efforts and hard work were never good enough. The harder you worked, the more judgment and criticism you attracted. You have associated success and hard work with humiliation or lack of reward. You were caught between your mother and father's conflict. They may have been given the ultimatum to choose between you. Problems and complaints were also dumped on you, making you feel overwhelmed and stressed. You often had no idea who to please and who to push away. Either way, you were in the firing line of your parents' conflict. Rigid, influential people controlled your future and made personal choices on your behalf. This would be a classic example if you, as a teenager growing up, if your parents chose your career for you rather than allowing you to choose your direction in life. If your parents had influences over the partner that you ended up with, if they didn't like a particular partner and made it known, or if they wanted you to end up with a particular partner, in any kind of decisions as you're growing up where your parents were making decisions on your behalf without considering what you were wanting in life, has a lot to do with back pain and muscular pain, because it's that rigid feeling of feeling trapped. You suppressed how you felt with the intention of surviving emotionally. This is a result of not being allowed to fully express your feelings. Your direction in life has been controlled and twisted to a point where you feel confused and uncertain about whether you are living your dream or are you living someone else's dream. You feel disconnected from what you need to say. You do not feel good about yourself. This may be the result of influential people using criticism as a way of educating you during your childhood. Your parents tried to use reverse psychology, however, it backfired and only caused more problems and strain on their relationship with you. You feel disconnected from your purpose and don't trust in your talents due to harsh criticism. You may feel a great deal of trauma related to rejection. As a result, you hold on to the rejection trauma as an unconscious reminder of where your place is within the family. And it goes on, it's quite a lot to read on the back, so that makes a lot of sense, doesn't it? Two more to go. This one is for someone who asked about tennis elbow. Tennis elbow, you may have stretched yourself too far physically or emotionally in life. You seem to be in a situation where you feel you are losing control. You are bored and tired of the same old routine. You feel obligated to provide and support loved ones. As a result, you prioritize everyone else's needs before your own. Your happiness is drawn from other people's happiness. It is time for you to move into a role where you can attend to your own needs and find a balance between giving and receiving. You may feel overwhelmed with responsibilities and feel like you are going nowhere. You may have reached your goals and feel you have nothing to look forward to, or feel you've missed out on achieving your goals. You may have had to compromise to suit the family's needs. You feel rigid, inflexible, unsupported, and unhappy in what you have been doing so far. As a result, you may feel uninterested with your accomplishments, and that one is for tennis elbow or problems in the elbow joint. Oh no, we've got a few more. I thought we were nearly at the end. Vertigo. Vertigo, someone asked me about vertigo and the feeling dizziness. You often have many self-sabotaging blocks in your life. You seem to feel that you do not deserve to have things come easily to you. Any past attempts at becoming successful have been sabotaged by influential people's own self-destructive behaviours. You may have been raised in a family where you felt unsafe and stuck in a fight or flight instinct. Perhaps you were exposed to volatile, unpredictable moods. You fix and adjust things constantly in an effort to avoid how you feel. This can be a case if one of your parents had erratic moods where you weren't sure, if you came home from school, you weren't sure whether you were going to be greeted by somebody who was in a good mood or somebody who's in a bad mood. After being around them for a little while, you tend to adjust to the mood that they are in. So you are always unsure of your surroundings. You're always going into situations where I don't know what I'm going to expect when I get home. And it rolls into relationships in your adulthood where you've got a partner and you're not sure whether your partner's going to be in a good mood or your partner's going to be in a bad mood. You're constantly like treading on eggshells, wondering what the situation's going to be. And when you get into that situation and then you know you've discovered what their mood is, you then are adjusting yourself. And this is causing this vertigo, dizziness feeling, because it's never feeling sure of your environment, never feeling safe and comforted. It's like every single day is like, what's going to happen today? It's the bit of the fear of the unknown that's happening here, which is causing the vertigo. So maybe trying to just talk to yourself and remind yourself this is just a fear, and you don't have to constantly adjust to how everyone else is. You just be you and let them be them. It's like you're trying to compensate for them and adjust to them to keep them happy. In the meantime, you're not keeping yourself happy, and you're keeping yourself in a confused loop all the time, which is causing the vertigo. So I hope that makes sense to you. What do we got? Oh, weight problems. A lot of people have weight problems, either can't put on weight, can't lose weight, a lot of thyroid problems. Weight problems can result with an underactive thyroid. An underactive thyroid is relating to carrying a great deal of emotional baggage, so stuff that you've been hanging on to for years and haven't released from the past. You feel a great need to protect yourself from experiencing any further emotional pain. This is trying to get yourself into a comfortable place, feeling in a comfortable place where you don't want to push yourself, don't want to push your boundaries. And if you see a situation, you're trying to work out how you're going to feel about that situation. Protect yourself before it even happens. It's like retaining this is especially when you retain weight and you can't lose weight, because you're holding on to wanting so badly to feel comfortable with a fear of feeling uncomfortable. So that's why the weight, if you allow yourself to feel uncomfortable, allow yourself to not have to control everything around you, allow yourself to just let things be, the weight can start to fall off you if that's what you're trying to achieve in life. So you have a void within that cannot be filled. I sometimes ask my clients, what does this void represent? The void often represents a lack of love from a mother or father. Either one may have been emotionally absent during your childhood. Grief and loss also seem to be present. This may have left you feeling like you don't fit in anywhere. You tend to isolate yourself as you feel deeply ashamed of what you are made up of. As a child, you feel your talents were often suppressed. You are afraid of your own power, and it makes you feel out of control. You punish others by punishing yourself. You sacrifice your body, your health, your happiness to punish others who may have caused you pain in the past. You have a deep fear of losing control. You invested a great deal of emotional energy to keep your trauma and sorrow at bay. You try to avoid people and circumstances that could shake your foundation. So even just being aware that that's what you're doing can help you to, once you realize how you're thinking or what you're hanging on to and why you're hanging on to it, that's when the healing starts, because that's when you can learn to understand it and then release it. And say, I'm not going to hang on to that. I'm not going to think that way anymore. And the very last one I got through was, someone asked about their wrist, got pain in the wrist. You know what you want, however, you lack the flexibility to make necessary changes to successfully create and develop what you want. You have a need to be creative in your life. Inflammation, infection again. You want to follow your own journey and not someone else's agenda. Fear of the future is often related to a lack of trust in yourself. You have been giving and compromising too much. Many areas of your life have become out of balance. You only give to others and do not allow yourself to receive love, support, and comfort. When you needed support in the past, your need was only met when you jumped through hoops. As a result, you feel that support and love are very conditional. You feel tired and drained of only giving and compromising for someone else's needs. You may also feel that you have had to step in between your mother and father during arguments to keep the peace. you feel that you have been the buffer for people who are in conflict. So there we go. Yeah, when I just read that bit about conditional love, I hear so many times people will say, oh, I love them unconditionally. If you love somebody unconditionally, you'll be happy with any way they treat you, any way they treat you. You'll be happy if they walked out of your life and you never saw them again, because it has no conditions on it. Usually we put conditions on love. I will love you as long as I get something in return. So just notice the difference between unconditional love and conditional love. So those were some of the topics that you asked me about. Hopefully I've covered a lot of them. I know a lot of people had the back pain. And yeah, so if you can get yourself a copy of this, I got it from Amazon. It was about $70 or something like that, because it's a really good book. If you can't get the copy of the book, I would suggest go on to YouTube and look up Yvette, as in Evette, Rose. And she does videos, and she's got her own website. And it's so interesting to understand what we think about ourselves, and what emotions we hang on to, what happened, what was happening in our life. Because most of the time when something is happening in our life and we're trying to work our way through it, we're not actually dealing with the emotion that it's creating, and we just suppress that emotion and just leave it like, oh, I'll deal with that another day. But those cells are waiting for you to deal with it. They've been waiting there all this time. And each time a situation comes up where it happens again, you put that same emotion on top of what you've already stored, which then starts to spread. The energy spreads, and that's what creates disease. So I'm definitely going to be, when I'm talking and nobody's listening, I'm definitely going to tell people hey, I'm talking to you. I've got something important to say, rather than just walking away and letting them talk over the top of me, which I've always done. So I hope you found that really interesting. I hope I've helped you in some way. And have a lovely day, everybody.